Okay, so guys, welcome back to my channel. Christ Dazzle is a new name, and I'll talk about that in another video. But today, this is the requested video. You guys voted between hearing how I became a flight attendant with 5 airlines, count them 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, and you chose this story over the time that my sisters and I were guests on a popular 90s talk show. It was the Danny Bonaducci show. Yes. And if you still want to hear that story, let me know. So welcome to my first real story time per se. I've told a couple stories on this channel, but anywho, it wasn't deemed as story time. So I am trying to get cozy in my lovely orange and yellow. You guys want to see these decorations? I'm going to probably move around because doggone it, I have created some beauty in this house, and I need to show some other vantage points than where I usually sit for my videos, okay? So we're going to hop around today. We're going to be a little nomadic. I don't even know if that's a word. But anyway, so my name is Tiffany, and I am here to talk about when I was a flight attendant and how I was a flight attendant for 5 different airlines. Yes, 5 different airlines. So my very first interview was, I think it was 1999 with Delta Airlines, and I did not get that job, okay? I was scared out of my wits. I walk into this room, and there was like, at the time, I want to say 60 people trying to get the job. And what's common with the airline industry, when they do interviews or open houses is what they call them, they will have a panel of interviewers there. So you're literally standing in front of the panel of interviewers, kind of like you see on a Tyra Banks show with America's Next Top Model. She had a panel of people up there. Okay, so you have a panel of people who are critiquing you from head to toe, and you're in this room with a whole lot of other prospects, people who are hopeful, who want this job, right? So you have to come forward and, you know, state your name and answer whatever questions that they hurl at you in front of everybody on the spot. And so that was my first time being thrown into that lion's den, right? So I went home, didn't get that job. I was a little disappointed, but I knew that I was going to get a job with somebody's airline. So that was the end of the year. I want to say, I don't recall, I want to say like December-ish or something. I don't really know. I could have the dates kind of off, but I know it was close to 2000 because in the year 2000, I actually went on my second interview, and that was with Continental Airlines, okay? Now, I want to, y'all, just bear with me because I'm trying to recall these details, and I may flip them up a little bit. But around this time with Continental, I had an interview also with Southwest Airlines, okay? So I want to say Southwest was first because, yeah, they invited me into their training first, and then I went on an interview with Continental, and then they invited me into training. So let me tell you how, and I hope I don't run out of space on this phone. Let me tell you how their process worked at the time. I don't know if the process is still that way right now in 2021. If it is, if you are flight attendants, and let us know in the comment section if this is how the interviewing process still goes, right? So typically, okay, like I said, I've been hired with 5. So I've been on 6 flight attendant airline interviews, and in each interview, there is roughly 60 people, prospects, trying to get the job in each room, right? And my experience has been, when I went into Southwest at the time, I believe there was about 55 to 60 people in there. And they always, y'all, they always only at the time would choose 5 to 6 people or something like that out of that entire group. Like, it was that pretty selective. It was pretty selective. So what they did was they would call your name and they would ask you to specifically do things in a specific order. And if you didn't pay attention to this order, you just were not, I believe, invited back. So whenever they call you up, state your name, maybe ask you where you're from or whatever. I recall somebody's instructions were to, when you come up front, we want you to stand here, and we want you to state your name. Then we want you to pick up this index card, And we want you to read from this index card. And we want you to take this index card, we want you to put this index card down. And we want you to answer the question on that index card. What they are doing is they are testing to see if you are detail oriented, if you know how to follow instructions. They literally, at that time, wanted us to do it chronologically, step by step, the way they told us to do it. So if you came up there and you grabbed the card first, read it, put it down, and then stated your name, and then proceeded to answer the question, you can forget being called. Because they are paying attention to the fact that you did not listen to them. They said, come up front, stand right here. If you stood somewhere else, they don't want you. And I'm going to explain later why they don't want you, okay? If you stood somewhere else, they don't want you. They don't want you. Get on out here. Anywho, okay, trying to keep this a little lighthearted. Okay, so stand right here, state your name, pick up this index card, read it, put that index card down, proceed to answer it in that order, from that place, from that vantage point. That's what they want, okay? So I did that. And I was called back. They told me in the interview, they don't make you wait. If they send you home and they tell you they're going to contact you, you did not get it at the time. It's 2021 right now. It's 21 years later. I don't even know. And oh, I forgot. I was a flight attendant during 9/11. That's something y'all wanted to hear about. Okay. And I might have to break this up into 2 videos. I don't know. So 2021, let me know if it's different. But at the time, that's what they wanted. So if they told you were going home and they would contact you via mail or what have you, that's how Delta got me. They didn't want me. Okay. They didn't want a sister. So they let you know right then and there, because when they're doing these open houses, they are already prepped for their training. They're ready to send the next crop of hopefuls to their training site, whichever city it's in, okay? They need you to get ready to pack your bags and go, okay? They're going to take care of your flight. They're going to get you there. They need you to give a notice to your job, wherever you are. They need you to get ready, okay? They don't have time to be hoping that you got something in the mail. They don't have time for those stories, whether or not it came. They don't have time to make phone calls. No, they're telling you right then and there, you are moving to the next phase. We want to invite you into our training. Here's your acceptance letter or whatever it is. Okay, you're leaving this place, and don't walk out of this room and tell nobody. They don't want you to tell anybody. It's always G14 classified secret sauce. Okay, secrets, girl, keep it to yourself when you walk out. That's what happened to me when I went to Continental Airlines. I remember this black lady interviewed me, and she was so nice and everything. And so at the table, you know, after we finished the interview, she said to me, okay, I want you to leave here and I want you to go. Why am I whispering? I want you to go. She told me there's another room to go to. And so I was in there like, I don't know what to expect. You know, I was just nervous, like what's going to happen, you know? So about 5 to 6 people I came across. That interview had about 60 people. And I know it was 60 people in there, maybe a little bit more. They only chose like 6 people, 5 or 6 people. Southwest chose 5 or 6 people. Now, so the reason why I ended up choosing between Southwest and Continental Airlines, really awesome airlines at the time, both of them, okay? I was so honored and so blessed. I ended up choosing Continental Airlines for these reasons right here, because your homegirl likes to dress up, okay? The difference between the uniforms of Continental and Southwest, everybody knows that the flight attendants wear these nice suits. With Continental Airlines, you have these dresses, you have the lapel jackets, you have the skirts. I like the professional look. I like to dress up. I like to wear heels, and I just like to dress up. And so Southwest Airlines is more relaxed. They wear tennis shoes, they wear khakis and t-shirts, and that's all fine. That's just not that's not what I prefer. I don't prefer to wear tennis shoes, you know, and I'm not a fan of khakis, and I don't really like to wear t-shirts and t-shirts every day. Like, that's just not my kind of wear for every day. Also, not just because of that, I mean, that seems kind of shallow, but you have to think about what you feel comfortable in all the time, you know, and I typically like to dress up. But the most important thing was they were stationed out of Cleveland. At the time, it had a base in Cleveland. I don't know if Southwest has one now, but then they didn't have a base in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm from Akron, Ohio. Ohio, Buckeye State. Okay, anywho. So anyways, Cleveland Hopkins Airport. So I was going to be able to, you know, hopefully stay close to my home with Continental Airlines. And if I wasn't, because I understood coming in, you were going to be on reserve and they tell you where to live and all that kind of stuff. I understood that I could at least commute in, which means I would live in Cleveland or live in Akron with my family, and then commute, which means if I was based in Atlanta or wherever the airline sent me, I could fly from Cleveland Hopkins to the base to start work from there. But that would have been a lot, and I don't really know if that was allowed for reserves. I don't recall. But anyways, I ended up not having to commute because... Now, here's where I know the favor of God was. Also, he was on my life, period. But look, y'all, all year long, I went to training in October, I want to say 2000. Yeah, October of 2000 with Continental. And they told us that our class was the first class the whole year to be able to select their own base. We were so excited. We got to choose where we wanted to live, coming in as reserve flight attendants. So I was like, wow. And I don't believe that they were allowed to do it after that. So no, they weren't. November, December hires, if they even did another class after us, we were the first and only class that year to be permitted to choose our own base. So I met a friend based off of our last name. She sat next to me, and we just hit it off and everything. She had 2 daughters, and they lived in Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. And so we hit it off so well. I said, look, I will determine which base I choose based on where you go, because I really wanted to be in Texas. I had been wanting to live in Texas forever, like, because our training with Continental Airlines was in Houston, Texas, and we had to stay there for 6 weeks. That was my first time in Texas, and I loved it, okay? I wanted to come back. I was going to live in Texas. You couldn't tell me nothing. But when I got in training and I met her, we oh my God, we were just like sisters. And so I said, okay, well, since we have an option, I would love to go to Houston, Texas, but it doesn't hurt me to stay in Ohio and be close to my family. So what do you want? Because Cleveland Hopkins is obviously closer to Pennsylvania for you. You could be, you know, with your girls. You could see your daughters and all that kind of stuff. So wherever you go, I'll go. So we thought about it. She thought about it. And she chose Cleveland. Okay. So that's how I ended up based in Cleveland Hopkins Airport, at that airport, and that's in that station, in that city. Okay. So anywho, I don't know if I should skip to, okay, yeah, I guess I should, because this should go in chronological order, because we're getting to how I was hired with 5 airlines. All right. So you have to finish the training in order to technically be hired, but how I was accepted into 5 trainings and stuff like that. So, so I was selected with Southwest and Continental at the same time. So that's 2, but I chose Continental Airlines. You can't work for 2s, conflict of interest. It's totally impossible to do. So now I'm working with Continental and I am loving it. Oh my God. They were just an amazing company. They were good to us. I had plans on becoming a recruiter, being one of the people who did the interviews behind the panel. But you had to fly as a flight attendant for 2 years. They wanted you to get that 2-year experience under your belt first. So, okay, I was working towards, you know, getting those 2 years under my belt, and I wanted to be a recruiter. And also because, what am I saying? Also because, anyway, I wanted to be a recruiter, and as a recruiter, you could continue to fly as a flight attendant as well. So I thought that was gravy. I'm like, oh, yes, I can interview. I can go to these different cities, and I can interview young hopefuls and, you know, just be an encouragement to the people coming in, and also still fly. I was just loving it, y'all. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Oh my God, I loved it. I'm just having flashbacks. I just loved it, okay? And then so eventually I knew that, hey, what if I get tired of this, you know, perhaps I can move into management. And in management, you can still come out of management and be a flight attendant again. Like, I like to switch things up. I just like to enjoy life and switch things up. So I just loved opportunities that company provided. So I'm flying with Continental. Everything is going well. Me and my girl, we're flying together. We're meeting up. We're doing trips together. We're hanging out with NBA players, and you know, we're doing all of those things. And 9/11 hits. Okay. One day, here it is. Everybody knows where they were when 9/11 happened, right? September 11th, 2001. Okay. Almost a whole year later, because I went to training in October. Jesus, have mercy. Y'all, this is the one thing I regret leaving Continental Airlines. I really do. Anyway, so where I was for 9/11, I was sitting airport alert in Cleveland Hopkins Airport in our crew room, asleep on our crew room couch, taking a nap, and in full uniform. So let me tell you, so airport alert is when flight attendants are, I'm on a reserve. I'm a reserve flight attendant, meaning they need us for backup in case something goes wrong with the line holders. Flight attendants who are line holders have been there for X amount of time, and so therefore they can choose their own line. A line is their own schedule. So they can choose their own schedule. So I'm still a reserve flight attendant. I am sitting airport alert just in case they need me and another couple of flight attendants to go maybe board an aircraft, while maybe the flight attendants who are going to work that aircraft are coming in from a different flight, and maybe weather has them held up or something and they can't get there. So they will call us to get on the airplane, go do the pre-boarding, you know, make the announcements, get the food ready, deal with catering, then also get the people boarded. So the gate agent is there. We will come in, we'll do our pre-flight check, we'll check all the emergency equipment, we'll check the seats and the seat belts and the doors and all the things that we have to do before we take off a pre-flight duties. We get our positioning, our who's going to fly lead, who's going to fly A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever, depending on which how large aircraft is and what airline you're with. So we would prepare the flight for the next crew if they couldn't get there in time for whatever reason, okay? And if for whatever reason they never showed up because the flight was delayed so bad, we would then take that flight. So that way those people could get to their destination. So that's what airport alert is, and that's what I was sitting, airport alert, September 11th, 2001. I was asleep on the couch, and I woke up to my phone just blowing up, you know, family members and friends calling. I'm like, what in the world is going on? And I literally, I recall I was laying this way and the TV was over here and people are gathered over the TV, and I'm looking, I'm like, what's happening? This girl's over here, she's crying and stuff, and I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, what's going on? And so I just kind of like slowly, I feel like I'm floating to the TV because I'm like in amazement. I'm like dazed out. I'm just waking up. I'm like, what's happening? And people are just scrambling. And I come around the wall to where the TV is, and I see the aircraft crash into the second tower. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. What's happening? Like, who would do this? Why would they do this? You know, what's happening, right? So people they were just in there freaking out, and I was just standing there, just pretty much in silence, just dumbfounded. I called my friends, my mom, to let them know I was okay because they wanted to know where I was. And I decided to take a walk upstairs to see what was happening in the airport. I went upstairs, and it was ghost town. They were taking food off of the aircrafts that were grounded, the food that we served the people from catering, passing them out to all of the people who were waiting in the airport for their flights. Well, they had already passed them out. By the time I came up, it was ghost town and most people were already outside, but they were passing the food out outside also. So they had pretty much evacuated everybody. I don't recall how long I stayed at that point after all of that, but eventually once we got released to leave, I just remember taking the bus to our crew parking lot, and along the way there was this Delta aircraft sitting there, and they had, I forget which news station out there, they said that there was a bomb on that Delta aircraft, and that was like close by our employee parking lot. I'm on my way to my car, and I was just like, what in the world is happening? Like, it ended up being a false alarm. There was no bomb on that aircraft, is what they said, but it was just surreal. It was just surreal. So I just recall going home, and after I heard the details about what had happened on those aircraft, and, you know, it just put fear in me, and I shut down. I went numb, and I was just at home, and I was just kind of just like moping around the house, just kind of like dwelling, you know. Crew scheduling was calling everybody to see who wanted to work. They were talking a million miles a minute when you answered the phone, because so many people were denying working. They would just, hey, do you want to come to work? Blah, 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 and they just expect you to say no and then hang up. And they were just allowing us to process and allowing us to have time. They weren't firing people for not coming in. They were giving us time. They gave us, I forget how X amount of weeks or whatever, to decide on whether or not we were going to come back. And here's another thing I wanted to mention. It was also a blessing that I was there in Cleveland Hopkins, because so many flight attendants got stranded for 2 weeks after that. Wherever they were laid over, you couldn't fly anywhere. Nobody was flying. So a lot of people could not get home for 2 weeks. I just remember just feeling grateful to God and telling God, thank you for allowing me to be home with my mom and my sisters. My father had already passed at that time. He was in heaven. So I was just grateful to be there with my family and my friends. So anyways, they were allowing us to have some time. And I just regret allowing fear to grip me. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but he has given us the spirit of power, the spirit of love, and a sound mind. I don't recall how long I went before I told them, because I talked to my mom, I talked to my one friend. My mom told me, don't quit. My one friend told me, and she really tried to keep me from quitting. I just wish I had somebody. She was over the phone though. She lived in another state. My mom there was a lot going on at the time, and she told me I shouldn't quit. I asked her, she said, no, you shouldn't quit. But what I needed in that moment was somebody to, Tiffany, stand toe to toe with me, look me in the eyes, and talk to me, shake me up, snap me out of it, and tell me, go back. Don't allow this this fear to cripple you. Don't allow this to stop you from living. Don't allow this to stop you from living your dream, doing something that you love, something that God clearly has blessed for you. Don't stop. Don't let fear stop you. It seems cloudy right now. It seems scary right now. Everything seems so uncertain. You don't know what the next step is, what it looks like. You know, continue to have that faith in God that got you here in the first place. Keep your eye on him. And that's not what I was doing. My eyes were not focused on God. I was listening to all of the noise around me. The news cycle will keep you spinning and swirling in a hurricane of fear if you let it. You cannot let it. You cannot do that. You have to retreat. You have to shut out the noise. You have to withdraw into your secret place. The Bible says, he that dwells in a secret place, and I did not mean to do this. I'm supposed to be talking about the flight attendant job. But I'm telling you and encouraging you where you are right now, in case you're in a situation like me. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And I will say of the Lord, he is my strength. He is my refuge. My God, in him will I trust. He had already blessed me with that. When I tell you that everything I went through to get to that point was nothing but God's hand on my life, I haven't even talked to you about the training. I didn't tell you about the training and why they specifically wanted you to come up and follow those steps. that training is strenuous. People think being a flight attendant, oh, that's sugar candy kind of job or whatever. Once you get in it, yeah, once you're there, but the training is not. Okay, it's a lot. It's a whirlwind of information. You have to learn first aid, CPR. You have to learn all of the aircraft, each aircraft type. If they have a 737 and that airline flies 4 different generations of that 737, you have to learn all of them. There's so many different things you have to learn. Let's not even talk about the evacuation drills. And you only get, at the time, 2 times. If you messed up during your evacuation drill when you're on the aircraft, you don't know which scenario they're going to give you. Let me just tell you, I'll come back to that. God hasn't given you a spirit of fear. He got you through to that point, right? Keep your eye on him. Don't let what's happening in the world detour you and move you off of the track that he has established for your life. He has ordained your steps. He has gone before you. He has prepared the pathway. He has made all the crooked places straight. He has perfected all that concerns you, and he has blessings on that pathway waiting for you. Stay there. Stay in that. Don't let fear. If you are operating and being moved by fear in your life, that's not God. He didn't give you that spirit. That's not coming from him. That means if you're scared right now, you're operating out of being scared, check yourself. It's not him. That's not him. We have to stop this. And we have to stop it right now, too, in 2021, here, November, right now. So it's a lot of the same action happening right now. It's not 9/11. It's not aircraft flying into buildings. It's other things happening. You have to shut out that cycle from coming into your home. Turn off that news cycle, because they're feeding you fear. They're feeding you lies, deception. It's so much happening in the world, y'all, that they just ain't telling you who behind what and all that kind of stuff. Don't let these people detour you and get you off your life's track. I wish I would have not done that. And I wish I would have had somebody shake me up and say, Tiffany, listen, sit me down, talk to me. Okay? So I ended up, I don't know if I want to go back into the training and how that happened, what took place with the aircraft drills and evacuations and all that stuff, or if I want to go on to how I, okay, so let me go ahead with this part. Let's move though. Okay, y'all, new spot. Look at this cute little glass. I got it from Goodwill anyway. So we're going to have something to drink. This is my probiotic. I'm thirsty. I'm talking, and yes, we're doing probiotics for the gut. Commercial. Anyway, so dang, I know it's that thirsty. This is so good. Yummy. Oh, it matches me. Anywho, so I just wish I would have had somebody shake me up, excuse me, and say, Tiffany, no, don't do this. Don't do this. Y'all, I had already gotten an apartment. I got an apartment that I was supposed to be moving into that upcoming Monday. When 9/11 happened, I was moving into my new place in Cleveland, Ohio, that upcoming Monday. It was so cute. It looked like a hotel. Oh my gosh. And at the time, what was I driving at the time? I think I was driving a black 2-door Cavalier, Chevy Cavalier. I love that car. Oh my God, I love that car. So it was kind of sporty looking. I thought I was doing something. Anywho, so I was supposed to be moving into my apartment that Monday, and that happened. And I just wish I would have had somebody to just shake me up and snap me out of it. Because, and that's partly why, first of all, my trust and my faith in God is at the core of who I am in terms of being fearless with things. I've had to overcome fear so many times in my life because it's crippled me in so many areas of my life. At this point in life, I'm just like pretty much fearless. Okay. So life has taught me a lot of lessons. And so anyway, what was I gonna say? So like I said, just don't allow fear to control you. If you're operating out of fear and being scared right now, that's not coming from your Heavenly Father. It's not him. Okay. Identify and understand it's not him. Go the opposite direction. Okay. So eventually I ended up calling him and telling him, I called my manager, and I just remember her saying, "Are you sure, Tiffany, that you want to do this?" And I could tell she was trying to, like, over the phone though, you know? And man, just a moment of silence for that moment, please. Woo! Lord have mercy. When I look at how far I've come from that, and I'm like, oh my God, there are certain things I'm like, I could have been doing X, Y, Z. Anyway, I have a beautiful family. Oh my gosh, beautiful daughter, wonderful husband. Even though he get on my nerves sometimes. You watching this, you know you get on my nerves. Anyway, I love you. So anyway, y'all, I'm crazy. Anyway, so let's get on to this. So eventually I quit, and my manager, she's like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "No, but I'm going to." And I did. Oh my God. So nobody was hiring for years after 9/11, right? For years, everybody knows this. All flight attendants at that time know this. Nobody hired for probably a good 5 years. No major carriers were hiring. The economy has taken a hit. And so I decided that I just wasn't going to fly no more, like ever again. I was done. And I couldn't believe that I had come to that place where I actually said that, because I love to fly. I love to explore and see the world. Like, it's in my blood. And any flight attendant will tell you, once you become a flight attendant, it's in your blood. It was in my blood before I became a flight attendant. So it was further etched in there once I got a taste and I saw how good it was, you know? So I couldn't believe that I was saying that I would never go back. Like, it was just that traumatic, you know? But eventually I came back around because, like I said, it's in your blood. You can't help it. And I wanted to fly again. I missed it. I had to go back. So 5 years later, Northwest Airlines was hiring flight attendants because their pilots were going through a strike. Okay, so Northwest Airlines was hiring because their pilots were striking and their flight attendants were going to do a sympathy strike with the pilots. So from what I was told, they were stationing reserve flight attendants all across the globe. They had people in Asia, everywhere, right? In case they needed to pull from all of us. They trained us. Where did I go? I went to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I stayed in a hotel for actually 2 months. The first month was training, and the month after the training, I stayed in the hotel for another month just on reserve. They paid us to just chill in the hotel, eat, and go shopping. And that's what I did. I went to the Mall of America all the time and just hung out for 30 days in case they needed us. And from what I heard, somebody said they only ended up using like one person and they were in Japan or something like that. I don't know. So all of these people we were all just stationed all across the world, wherever their bases were, wherever they needed us, just in case their flight attendants went on strike, which apparently they did not. So I ended up coming back home. So that was airline number 3. So I ended up coming back home, and I don't recall like the time gap between coming back home from Northwest to this upcoming one. I know one of my friends told me about it though. Was it one of my friends? No, actually, how did I find out about this? I think one of my friends told me about Northwest. And then I think I found out about this other airline on my own, just doing some research, whatever. So you can just go to the airline's website and under careers, and you can click flight attendant. So I think that's what I did for this one. So I ended up working for another airline based out of Atlanta, Georgia, Omni Air International. This airline flew mostly the U.S. military. So we spent a lot of time in other countries. So pretty much Germany was my home for weeks at a time. So I went to Frankfurt, Hans, in Germany. This was the largest aircraft that I had ever flown on. I hate to get the name wrong. I don't want to get the name wrong. If y'all know what Omni Air International flies, let me know in the comment section below. I've learned so many different types of aircraft because Continental had theirs, Northwest had theirs, Omni had theirs, and I'll get to the next one after that. So anywho, this was really big. It held up to 12 flight attendants. And so I went on that interview. I got that interview, did well, got accepted into their training, did the training and all that great stuff. By this time, I'm pretty much a pro, you know. And I'm telling people what to do, what not to do. Hey, you know, you take all this information in, like drinking out of a water fountain. You take the test and then you data dump. You got a data dump. You cannot hold on to all that information because they're about to flood you with so much more information that you have to hold on to, because each test at the time required at least 75. Some airlines were 75 and above, others were 80 and above in order to stay in the class, because you can get eliminated from the class at any given moment. You can be in training for 6 weeks and you can get down to the second or the last day of that 6 weeks. The second to the last day or the last day of that 6 weeks and get sent home. They do not care. They want to make sure that you know all of the evacuation commands, all of the evacuation drills, every scenario possible, because you never know what type of scenario you're going to be in if, for God forbid, your plane goes down. That's what flight attendants are there for. I know everybody sees the fluffy passing out snacks and drinks and stuff. That's what we want you guys to see. That's all we ever want you guys to think of us as, because no flight attendant in the world ever wants to have to go through an evacuation, a real life emergency. Nobody does. No pilot, no co-pilot. We don't want to have to do that. But that's the only reason why you have flight crew there, is for your safety. That's it. You know, other than that, you can sit on an airplane and chill, and you know how to sit down. You know, like you don't need us there to tell you that, but you need us there for safety. For safety. That's the only reason why flight attendants are there, for your safety. So they just need to understand that, you know, eventually I'm gonna get back to these, you know, training stories or whatever. Maybe that'd be a separate video. I don't know. I'll try to fit it in. What was I saying? So I got accepted with Omni Air International. I was, you know, telling people what to do, what not to do, you know, kind of thing, data dump and all that kind of stuff, going through the training. Some of the wonderful places that I got to visit with that airline, like I said, I spent a lot of time in Germany. We was literally be in our hotel for like a week, 2 weeks sometimes, just waiting for, you know, because sometimes R&I, rest and relaxation, rest and relaxation, you know, we fly a group of troops into one country and we have to wait there until the U.S. had another group of troops ready for us to fly back to a different destination. So yeah, we just got paid to sit and travel, and because you could literally travel. I remember one friend, we were in Germany, she took a train to Paris, you know, while we were on a layover in Germany. We were here for 2 weeks that time. And so those are the things that you can do as a flight attendant. It's an awesome experience. I got to be in Italy on my birthday. It just so happened that one time it was 8 of us flying for Omni, 8 of us working aircraft, and something happened with the schedule and crew scheduling, and they mistakenly put another crew on our plane for them to fly. And so we ended up staying in Aviano. We flew into Aviano. Is it Aviano? I know I ended up in Venice. Well, y'all, anyway, don't come for me. But I know I ended up in Venice on my 33rd birthday, I want to say. Celebrate my 33rd birthday. I didn't have to work the flight in. I got to chill and be served on the aircraft and celebrate my 33rd birthday in Venice. Oh, really? When I tell y'all God's favor has always been on my life, it has. When you walk in obedience with him, he will bless you. Anyways, it was just wonderful. So I went to places like Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, which is kind of in between Russia and China. And when I tell you their flight attendants over there, their flight attendant training is literally like our college over here. Like, that's a serious career over there. They just fanfared over us. I came out of the shop because I was shopping for some little trinkets from my mom. And I was like, what's going on? They were like surrounding us, and they were just happy and just talking fast, and I couldn't understand what they were saying. And they were so pretty, and they were just looking at us and so happy about seeing us Americans and being flight attendants, and they're in flight attendant training. Like, they were so excited, and it was something to see it. And so yeah, so I went to Ireland. I didn't get to do a lot of Ireland. It was really just a touch and go. We had to touch base and then leave. So I got to go into the airport and you know, go into the gift shop or whatever. I got something here still to this day I bought from the airport shop as a memento. Anyways, yeah, so I got to travel and see the world. What I learned with Omni Air International, though, the reason I ended up leaving is because I like domestic flights. I don't like to be on aircraft for hours at a time. I am literally scraping at the walls trying to get out. Like, I want to do the domestic flights. 4 hours was my max. If it was over 4 hours, I'm getting antsy. I'm like, what's going on? Like, when we gonna land? And then don't let it be bad weather. I'm just like over it. I'm not claustrophobic, but I was ready to get off the airplane. Okay, it's just been too long. So I knew, and I always said, actually, I say I learned this when I was working for them. I actually knew this ahead of time, but it really was embedded in me after experiencing it. So I knew once another domestic carrier started to hire, I was going to hop ship. I just couldn't do the long flights anymore. 10 hours, and I couldn't. And, you know, being away from home for 2 weeks at a time, like, excuse me, that just was not my zhuzh. That's not what I wanted. But they were a great airline also. So what happened is I ended up, here it is, I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia, and another airline, a domestic carrier pops up. After 9/11, we have another domestic carrier ready to go. And it was AirTran Airways. And so I got accepted through that training, went through the training, all that good stuff. And I was a flight attendant with AirTran Airways when I met my husband, when I met Chris. Yeah, so we got married, and homeboy brought me back up to the Midwest. I finally escaped the cold weather. I love Ohio, but I hate this cold weather. And now I'm in Indiana, back in the cold weather again. Woo! I had planned on eventually leaving Georgia and finally getting to Texas or Florida, because by that time I was considering Florida. But Texas was always like, always just calling me and calling me. But anywho, but I'm back here in Indiana. Go figure. So that's my story of how I ended up being accepted into training with 5 airlines: Southwest, Continental, Northwest, Omni Air International, and AirTran Airways. I know now Continental Airlines has been bought by United, so so there's that. But yeah, oh my God. And nobody compared to Continental to me. After that, I was just always comparing everybody to Continental Airlines. Every workplace has its thing, but I wasn't there long enough to experience that thing. Like, I just loved it. Oh my God. The climate was there was great. They treated us with so much respect. Even though we were reserve flight attendants, this crew scheduling they treated us with so much respect. I just loved it. I loved it. I hate that they had to get bought up, but flight attendant is an awesome experience, especially if you are single. I always said that I wouldn't do it once I got married, because I just wouldn't want to be away from my family. Now, there are some airlines, like I know AirTran, they have these short lines where you can literally go out in the middle of the night and be back in the morning, like early morning. So you could do that if you have a family and, you know, you're doing it on the days where you have someone watching your kid, your husband's home, or or flip-flop if you're a man and you have a wife at home or whatever. You could do those kind of short flights, but you have to have a line. You have to be there for a while in order to qualify for that, because a lot of senior flight attendants take those up. So you could do it with that, but for the most part, it's difficult to do with the family. And I'm just not that type of a family person where I want to leave my family like that. I want to be with my family, with my daughter all the time, with my husband all the time. And so I wouldn't want to do that right now in my life. So I'm not missing being a flight attendant at this point in my life. I do miss the free flights though. I ain't gonna lie about that. So I miss the free flights and all that good stuff. But anyways, I guess I can kind of fit in here some of the training and stuff. Like so I recall with my Continental Airlines, this is why I say you can get to like the last day of the 6-week training and get sent home. Like your evacuation drills are so important, and there are multiple roles, positions that you play as a flight attendant. Some airlines call them flight attendant A, flight attendant B, flight attendant C. If you just have like the 737-500 aircraft, you can seat up to 4 flight attendants, and typically they fly. You get 50 passengers per flight attendant. That's FAA regulations. Typically for those 737s, we only flew with 3 flight attendants. It was very rare that we have a 4th flight attendant. So the jump seats seat 2 people at a time. So during evacuation drills, with Continental, when I did it, we had to pull from a bag, a hat, or whatever, a letter. So if you pulled out A, okay, that's the position you had to fly. Now, you had to have studied your flight attendant manual to know what that position entails. Everything that position entails, from serving all the way up to evacuation drills. Now, evacuation drills can consist of ditching, which is in the water, and land, obviously. Now, you never know if there's going to be fire and smoke in the cabin. You never know which windows or doors are going to be obstructed and you're not going to be able to get out. So in these evacuation drills, you have to know your position responsibility, and you also have to know what to do in case your door that you're next to is jammed and you can't open it. Okay, so you have to be ready on demand to know what to do in a short period of time. And during those evacuations, you have the instructors yelling in your face like you're in the Army. I remember this one lady, she was like, I want to know if my little girl is on this airplane with you and you guys have an emergency, you can get my little girl off that airplane. And you have to be loud, you have to project, and you have to be clear and concise. And you have to lead these people. And remember now, you're on a small little tube in an emergency situation. People are panicking and they are not thinking. They're grabbing their luggage. You trying to get down a small aisle, which is part of the reason why they wanted people to be, flight attendants to be small and slender. That changed over the years. People grabbing their luggage, trying to take it off. We ditching in the water, girl. What you getting your luggage for? You know, like you have to be able to think quickly on your feet and adjust to the situation, however that situation changes in a moment. You have to be able to do that. And so that's the reason why, and they need you to pay attention to detail, because first you got to check that flight equipment every day. Before you take off of each flight, you have to check every single piece of equipment, emergency equipment, when you get on that aircraft. So they want to know that you can pay attention to detail, and that you have common sense, you have quick thinking skills, okay, and you're able to adjust in a situation, and that you can handle stress. Okay, you can handle stress well. I actually perform better when I'm under stress. Sometimes I'll go all the way to the limit with something so I can do it and get that just boom, you know, that rush of adrenaline to get it done. But so what happened to me in my first ever evacuation drill, I think I pulled B first, and what was it? Was it B or C? Yeah, I pulled B first. And I want to say it was a ditching drill. And my position was to get up to the windows, the emergency exit row. the emergency exit row, y'all, my responsibility was get to those windows, right? I knew what to do, but when everybody got up out of their seats to get out, I didn't push myself through my classmates hard enough and fast enough to get to those windows for my instructor. She wasn't pleased with that. I'm trying to be polite. I mean, not so much polite, but I was moving, but I wasn't moving with enough urgency for her and fast enough, okay? And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, these are my classmates. I ain't trying to trample nobody. She didn't care. She wanted, everybody had to understand, you just might get hurt in this situation, so you need to adjust, right? So I had to do it again. And I was like, oh my God, we are almost at the end. And if I don't do this right, I'm going home. I passed all my tests and everything. So I pulled again and I pulled position C. And I could have this flip because it's been a long time, y'all. C could have been going to the window for all I know. I could have that wrong. Either way it goes, I pulled B and C, okay? And my situation, my first situation involved the window, and I didn't get up there quick enough. So my second situation involved me staying where I was at my door and adjusting to that situation, whatever that situation was. And that one was fire. And I think my door was locked. My door was jammed. I don't recall. My door was jammed. But anyways, it's intense. It is intense. It is intense. So you don't go into this thing all willy-nilly. I don't know how it is now. It may not be as intense now, and every airline is different. I know Continental at the time was saying theirs was like the most strenuous training of all. And so they probably prepared me for the other ones that I ended up getting. So I could believe it. Actually, as a matter of fact, speaking from experience, theirs was, of the experiences that I've had, theirs was the most strenuous. Hands down, it was. They were of excellence, and I am proud to say that I was with them. I just regret leaving them. I'm sorry, Continental Airlines. Anyway, yeah, so there's that. And then there was a crazy time that I can recall. Me and this other flight attendant, I was working with Continental, and we were sitting in the back, and I was close to the door. She was sitting on the jump seat beside me on the left. I don't know what happened to this, but the aircraft door flew open in flight, y'all. I had it wrong. Okay, so she's sitting close to the door. Yep, because this is part of the story. She's sitting close to the door. I'm sitting on her left side. Here's the door. Here's her, and I'm sitting right here. The aircraft door flew open in flight as we were coming in for a landing, but it flew open. I don't know what happened with the pressure. Something was wrong. It was her door. My door was over here on the other side. But I think something was, I don't know, wrong with the door or whatever. She sat there and she panicked. She sat there and she went like this. Oh my God. And I'm looking, I'm like, girl. And I jumped over her. I'm hanging over her body while she's sitting there like this. And I'm trying to pull the door in. I finally pull it in and then slam it down and lock it. And I was like, you okay? And she was like, all I could think about was my daughters. I'm like, exactly why you should have closed that door. Like, you sitting here. We were low enough, though, that the air pressure wasn't, because like I was saying, we're coming in for a landing, so you could see the ground. Oh, Lord. Yeah, she was a sweetheart, though, but that had never happened to me before. And it's funny because they say sometimes, and I was newer. She had been there for, I want to say 2-3 years at the time. And here it is, I'm brand new. And they say a lot of times your newer flight attendants will respond quicker, with more efficiency and more clarity of thought than the ones who have been doing it for a long time, because we're literally fresh out of training and it's all like right there. And we're just like, it's right at the forefront of your mind. You're ready to go and do the darn thing because you just did darn thing for 6 darn weeks or 4 weeks in some cases. And people who have been flying for a long time, they kind of get lax because flying really is safe. And so you you become relaxed and you get into a routine. And so your mind, even though you're supposed to, they tell us to sit on the jump seat and recall all of your commands and all the situations that can take place while your takeoff and landing are the most crucial points in a flight. So they're always telling us to be quiet, sit there on that jump seat, and to meditate on your responsibilities, your position. What if this happens? What are you going to do? How are you going to respond? And where's the AED, and where's the oxygen tank? And, you know, do you have a person on flight that is on oxygen? And if something happens, where are they seated? Like, they're telling you to always go through these safety practices every time you're seated for takeoff and landing. So that way it's fresh in your mind. And if something happens, boom, you go straight into action. They don't want you sitting there talking, reading a book, eating, and all kind of stuff. You're not supposed to be doing that. So anyways, that's that. And but yeah, you guys, so it was nice kind of like going down memory lane with you guys. If you have any questions, first of all, if you have any questions about this or any tips that I can give you, haven't been accepted into 5 doggone airlines. If you have any questions, I would be happy to do more videos for you guys, or just give you some more, like, I don't know, if you care about any stories or whatever, if I think of any. Yeah, let me know if you have questions. Leave comments below. Let me know if you enjoyed this story time with Tiffany, and also tell me if you still want to hear about when my sisters and I were guests on the Danny Bonaducci show. They hate it when I talk about this time you went on this talk show. And it's crazy because one of the people who was on the panel with us, I had seen him on a Ricky Lake TV show one day, and I was screaming and yelling at the TV. I was going off because he was making me so mad. And I just remember, I'm getting into the story. I just remember when we went and we got off the elevator coming into the hotel lobby. My sister, I think it was my sister Nikki, said, "Tiffany, there's that dude from the Ricky Lake show who you was yelling and fussing at." I think it was Nikki who said that. I don't know. But anyway, I'm like, what? He was on the stage with us, y'all. But I'm a lady. Y'all know how Shanae say that. I'm a lady. So anywho, yes. So I got to have my interaction with Sheldon. I remember Sheldon. Anywho, I think he was just, y'all, come to find out, a lot of this stuff you see, y'all, when I tell you what you see on TV is propagated, it's staged. When I tell y'all television is staged, I want y'all to understand how staged it is. I mean, that's from the news to everything. It's staged performance for ratings. That's what it's all about, y'all. And they use us, and we are just gullible people. Gullible people. But that was fun. That was fun. They flew us in. If you guys want to hear that story, let me know. And I will definitely drop that for you. Sorry it took me so long to get this one done, but it's done, son. All right. I'm going to continue to get cornier and cornier the longer I talk. So on that note, I will take a sip of my GoodBelly Probiotics drink. Call me. Okay, look, for real. I love this stuff. It stay in my house. Call a sister. Call me. Yes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.